Hello, vinyl lovers. It's Uncle Roddus back again with a mid-autumn video. It's been a wee while actually since I made a video because the record's slowed down a bit. We just had that other lockdown thing a month or so ago. We got out of that, but North Island's still in it, which has made getting vinyl out of there pretty slow. But I have got some on order, so I'm starting to dribble in now. But some other stuff's been cropping up. Got a couple of Trade Me purchases that turned up. Should be back here in the light more, shouldn't I? Yeah, a bit of a shadow there. Just in the office today. Anyway, so a real mixed bag of stuff here. I picked this one up just this last week or so, out of Dunedin record shop down there. I was just online looking. I saw something on a video of theirs, I think it was. Anyway, yeah, thought I'd check this out. So this is a reissue. I'm not quite sure what year this is, but it was brand new sealed, and I mean we do not see this is well, according to all the information I can glean from it and from Discogs, this is an original BYG reissue from very recently, I suspect, but there's no year on it. Their album was originally from 1971. So yeah, I do not see BYGs around, actuals around very much at all in my local shops here. Probably turn up when you're not looking, but always the way. So always jumping on Archie Shepp stuff. I've only listened to it once. It was interesting, very Sun Ra. Had a very Sun Ra sort of, you know, one of those live Sun Ra, really big band, sort of chaotic, noisy sort of thing. It was similar to that. And also from the same shop, I picked up this old New Zealand issue. Been looking for this for a while on my want list, but not looking actively for it, but yeah, I got it for a pretty good price actually. This was in a limited edition of 500 copies only back in 1986 when it was released as part of the Fog City Enterprises, which was a kind of co-op of musicians. They had a band called Fog who put out a 7-inch EP, I understand, that I've heard some tracks off that on Chris Walker's podcast. This was the album they put out under the Robert the Record title, and on Robert Records. This is quite cool. I'm really impressed with this actually. Really, really nice. Cool 80s indie rock, indie pop. Their limited edition of 500 copies, so it's not going to turn up a lot. Playing behind me is a bit of Roy Montgomery. Now he's celebrating, now what is it? Let me tell you, his 40th anniversary, LP series. So, 40 years ago, Roy was one of the members of the Pin Group, who were the original first record release on Flying Nun, who I've mentioned this probably several times. Roy's now doing this kind of droney, atmospheric, ambient guitar music. It's really, really cool. The artwork on these are really cool. This is the second LP of the 4 LPs that are due to be released this year as a celebration of the 40 years. This one is called That Best Forgotten Work. The previous one was called Island of Lost Souls. This one's got vocals and stuff on it. The one you're hearing behind me and playing on the background off his Bandcamp is the Island of Lost Souls, first track off that LP, which I picked up earlier in the year. I've also got the third one has just come out the last few weeks, and that's been ordered, but it hasn't turned up yet. I think it's due out. No, I think it's due out later this month. Something. I don't know. There's going to be an issue because shipping to New Zealand, well, postage-wise, from the US is on hold. So we can't get anything. We can't buy anything in the US and get it shipped to New Zealand at the moment. Not that I do much. Another Trade Me purchase. This is another rare New Zealand. What was it? 80s. The Francis set. The LP is called Sun. It is pretty rare. I think it is a self-released LP. I don't know what year it was now. this is sort of alternative 80s music. I paid quite a bit of money. I paid 3 figures for this because it is very rare. I'm a little bit disappointed with the music actually. I've only played it a couple of times, so I need to get to grips with it a bit more. But yeah, you know, for that amount of money, you'd hopefully get a bit better. I paid $100 for it, really. But still, kind of cool to have it in my New Zealand music collection. And then this one here, I hope you're going to be able to see this because I haven't taken the shrink wrap off it due to the sticker on it. But this is J. Clarkson's LP Kindle from 1999. First time I think it's been on. First time on vinyl. It was a CD only issue back in the day. Turn that off. There we go, that's not going to reflect so much from this computer screen behind it. Played it once. I don't like it as much as the early 80s stuff with the Playthings and the Expendables and even the Breathing Cage, but any solo stuff from that time was pretty cool. But yeah, I need to get to listen to a bit more. You know, some of that does come through. Her early stuff does come through this. Her last LP from about 3 or 4 years ago was quite folksy, so it's a long way from this sort of stuff, or her earlier stuff. You know, that just came out last week. Also brand new out is Sulfate's second LP, God Zone. This is only played this year, it's only just turned up a couple of days ago. Going to have a cleaning session tonight. Sulfate is, what's the guy's name? Peter Ruddle, I think it is, who is in, or was in a band called Wax Chattels, and I'm not sure whether they're still going because they put out an album before he put out the 2 Sulfate records, like this one and the previous one, and nothing has been seen of Wax Chattels since. Although they were going to be playing here live recently, that's right, they were part of the Flying Nun gig at the Art Centre, which never happened because of lockdown, so that was disappointing. But anyway, the first LP was really good, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then today I went to Penny Lane and I had a big spend up because I took a trailer load of scrap in and I picked up the new Red Fountain LP Iris. So this is brand new out just on last Friday, or this Friday, a couple of days ago really. This one is on this turquoise. So this is the coloured vinyl. There is a black version as well. She's really come up in the world of New Zealand music. This is about his 5th or 6th record. She had a couple of CDs that came out earlier in the 2000s. I haven't heard them. I picked up her first vinyl LP and EP a few years back, and then the next album after that. First album, Little Arrows or something. That was excellent Americana folky sort of thing. The next album was a bit more lushy pop sort of thing, but still quite good. And I think she's sort of following on with something similar to this. I'm pretty sure they might have been playing this in the shop today when I was in there. I wasn't totally focusing on it, but I'm pretty sure that would have been it. Picked this one up today. I haven't even unsealed this one yet. This is a reissue as well of another record that was never issued on vinyl originally. It came out in 2006. This was their second CD that they'd released, and now it has a vinyl reissue from earlier this year. I kind of didn't really know much about it, and I hadn't really got around to buying it. Just had too many other things to go to. But so I had some cash today from the scrap copper, so I picked it up. And this is the blue vinyl version, so that's cool. I'm not going to unseal it just right now to show you. I'll do that later when I clean it. So yeah, it's been an interesting day in the shop today. So I picked up a bunch of New Zealand stuff and a bunch of other stuff. So now this one here actually turned up on Trade Me the other day, and I was almost thinking about buying it, and then I picked it up today for actually $20. It was reduced. So it is by a band called Turaya. I can't pronounce it very well. Turaya. The album's called Waiting. It's from 1986, and it is listed on Discogs as a folk rock record. So I thought I had this on my want list, but it wasn't on my Discogs want list, so I don't know. But I do remember reading about it or hearing about it recently and I thought I wouldn't mind hearing it. I don't know, it might be crap. It might be too laid back and subtle for me. Middle of the road. There was a lot of stuff came out in the 80s. There's several albums. I had some by some bands that I just couldn't get into, and I actually resold them. So I hope this isn't something like that. But this is on J-Rem Records, who released a lot of pretty cool stuff in the 80s. Should I get through all the New Zealand stuff first before I... Yes, this might be the last of the New Zealand stuff. So today I picked this one up. This one's been out for quite a while now, a couple of years or so, or maybe more. It's a compilation by a band called Tom Thumb, who are a 1960s poppy, psyche. I wouldn't say they were garagey, but this is out of a German label called Breakaway Records. They've released two New Zealand compilations of bands, two compilations of New Zealand bands from the 60s. They did the Barry and the Breakaways one. They were a pretty big pop band in the 60s. And I mean, I'm familiar with these from some tracks from some CD comps that I've had for years, which I really, really like. Actually, I don't know if J-Rem that put them out many years ago, back in the early 90s, and they were fantastic compilations. They had some Tom Thumb stuff on, and I think I've got some other vinyl compilations I've picked up with some stuff of theirs since then. So yeah, this has been around for a while. They pressed 500 copies worldwide, and it hasn't really sold. There's been copies floating around the record shops for ages. I picked this up for $20. So basically reduced it just to try and get rid of it. I will pick up the Barry Breakaway one day, maybe, if I see it again. Again, that was pretty cheap to pick up. So there's good stuff on there, though. I'm familiar with some of the bits and pieces, so that's nice to have. A bit of New Zealand music history. This one here I picked up for a very cheap price, Evan Johns and the H-Bombs, and I understand this is their second LP from 1986. So I was introduced to their first LP back in several years ago by a friend of mine. Really impressed with some of the stuff on their first LP. I also picked up an album I did with Eugene Chadbourne a couple of years ago or so, or a year or so ago. I actually hardly ever listened to it actually yet. One of those things, you listen to it once, twice, and get filed away. So this is pretty cheap. The vinyl is a bit grubby, but it should clean up, and there's a bit of a stain on the back of it, but I only paid $10 for it. So rockabilly stuff. Evan is passed away in 2017, unfortunately, but their first LP, Riding Through the Night or something it's called, that had some really stonking tracks on, so I'm hoping that it's going to be the same. This is quite an interesting find. So Terry Riley, someone who I have a bit of interest in. I don't have a lot of his music. I have a CD that I quite like of some stuff he did in the 70s. This is from 1980. Schrei Kamal. Schrei Kamal. From Germany. This is a German issue from 1980. The cover's so cool. I really dig the cover, man. That is really cool. This was a University of Canterbury School of Music record. I actually picked up a few records from the University of Canterbury. So unfortunately, I don't know why they sold their collection, but they obviously sold it to Penny Lane. I picked up some of the classical stuff, New Zealand classical stuff. So with these stickers on them. So I've got a few. This is the first time I've actually seen the stamp, but maybe I haven't noticed it before. But I do know that I have picked up a few. So I'm not sure what this is going to be like, but I do have an interest in Terry. I know he did some pretty interesting stuff in the 70s. Like I say, I do have a CD of his, and I can't remember, Sacred Dances or something. It was a double CD, which I heard many years ago, and I was really impressed with. I was pretty excited to find this one. I've been looking out for this band's records for ages. They don't have a lot of records out. This is a live record, a New Zealand issue from 1972. I think the original release was 1971. This is a New Zealand version on Polydor. So yeah, Rory Gallagher, he's a fucking awesome guitarist. I know, I've heard of some of the stuff, and I've heard some Taste stuff before, so I may be familiar with a couple of songs. This is live, live record. Really excited, really cool to have this live at the Isle of Wight. So according to Discogs, this was their third record out. They had two albums come out before this, and then this one, and then another live one straight after this for some reason, which was a bit strange. So Rory went on to do some solo stuff. I don't really have any. Do I have? I think I've got one. Rory Gallagher. No, I haven't. No, I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah. So, but I had been familiar with Taste just from a couple of tracks and always been really impressed with it. And he is a great guitarist. And another one that was really great to find today and is new to me. Not new to me that I've never heard of the guy. New to me in that I haven't heard any of his music, but his reputation is pretty big. Terry Reid, second LP from 1968. Just seems to be a self-titled one. Yeah, this again is a New Zealand original New Zealand pressing on CBS Columbia. No, EMI Columbia. Sorry, it was the other one that was on CBS. I was thinking of. Yeah, looking forward to hearing this. It's got a good rep, a really good rep. And then a couple more to go. If I can get this back in the bag. So yeah, some really cool scores today. Real mix of stuff. Always like to have lots of different types of music, so that was cool. Oh, here we go. I missed a New Zealand one. I knew there's something I missed. This cover is also fantastic. I really, really dig this cover. I don't know why, but I thought Bushfire were a reggae band from the 80s, but it turns out they're not. Actually, they're from my hometown of Christchurch, and they are a traditional Irish, Scottish folk band. Wow, they were doing original. So all of the songs are traditional arrangements, apart from Taramanui, which is a great New Zealand song. Which a band called When the Cat's Away did back in the 80s, but the original was done by a guy called Peter Cape back in the 50s, I think. I might be familiar with this version because Mike Moore's on it, and I think that might be one that Chris had played on his show a while back. So this is going to be interesting. So it's not strictly New Zealand music, but there is some New Zealand pieces to it. But I think that cover is just fantastic. The record is in mint condition. This was their second LP. They did put something else out. So the name was familiar to me, but I may have even seen them playing live around town back in the day. You know, there was... Irish music was quite big in Christchurch back in the 80s and shit, so I don't know, yeah. So I took a bit of a punt on this one today, and this is Murders by Death. Their 2015 Big Dark Love record. Now, I was familiar with them just from one or two tracks from an uncut CD quite some time ago when they first sort of came out. So this is they were around from around about 2002, I think. So this is a much more recent one, but still 5-6 years old now. So they are listed as alternative country, indie rock, indie pop, alternative country, something like that. So, which, you know, sounds pretty cool to me because I'm into that. And the very first record that found its way into my arms today, because I was not going to leave this one and I've been wanting to get my hands on it. And I didn't really want to try and get it from the States again because it took so long to get the other ones. But International Anthem, the new Damon Locke Black Monument Ensemble, and this is their second LP. Their first one was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. So I'm so looking forward to this. I think my last video I haven't posted yet, that also had some International Anthem records on it. One of which was damaged, and I'm still waiting for the replacement, but they have sent it. Thank God, before the postal shut down sending to New Zealand. This is on a coloured vinyl. This is a coloured vinyl version. I didn't buy any of the coloured vinyl versions out of their Bandcamp because they were more expensive, but I picked this one up locally. So the International Anthem stuff is getting distributed in New Zealand, but it's very random what turns up. Every time I go to the shop, I did pick one up last time I was in Penny Lane, but every time I go there, there's kind of only like one album in there, so they're probably getting snapped up pretty quick. and it's good that they're still coming in, because after they came in before the big lockdown, I first found some in there, and then after the big lockdown through the COVID shit, wasn't too sure where we were going to be getting any more, but luckily they are still tuning up. So I always check that out at Penny Lane. Hopefully, some more come in. Right, so that's quite a good haul of records there over the last month or so. Even though things have slowed down, but like I say, I think I bought 11 records today at Penny Lane. So excellent. All right, well, I'll leave you to it. Catch you next time. Cheers.